Good morning, everybody. I am so excited to be here again for another book for you all. I am here with Prudence Vector. Her new book, Heroine, is available now. You can get the Kindle copy. Everything is in the description, as always. Go get your copy, get your Kindle copy right now. And you guys are going to want this book. This is based on a true story. This is her story, and yes, this is not her true. Obviously, you can't see her, okay, for a reason, because this is a sensitive story. This is a true story about drug addiction and her recovery process and how she's living her life now. And it's a beautiful story of recovery. It's a hard story of the truth, and there's a lot of people that go through it. We know this is Recovery Month, and it was really important to get this book out this month. And y'all are going to just, first of all, you need to get the book just to read the story and see her story. I don't care if you, I think everybody has an addict in their life in one way, shape, or form, whether it's drugs, alcohol, anything. Addicts don't necessarily have to be drugs or alcohol. Okay, you can be addicted to a lot of things. Drugs are awful, so are alcohol. Okay, but I'm excited for this book. I cannot wait to hear back, get the feedback on what this book has done for people and how it's helped other people see themselves in the book, not so much as the addict, but understand that there is a way out of it and there's a way through it. So, Prudence, I am excited to have you here and celebrate, first of all, your book, but also everything you've done and everything you've been through. Where I want to start is why now and why you're writing this book.
So it's been quite some time that this story has been, occurring. Of course, it's my life. And I've been carrying this stuff around with me for over a decade because the majority of the painful part of it that happened in my life and tried to destroy it was 10 or 11 years ago. And so I wanted to finally get it out of me. It felt like I just carried it with me. But it felt like I wore it on my face. It felt like even though I wasn't talking about it, everybody could see it on me. And I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, that's not going to be the case unless I tell them or, somehow they hear about my story without me knowing about it. But it felt like a cage. It felt like I just was stuck somewhere. And I wanted to, like I said, get it out of me. And the minute I did get it all the way out, I was able to lay it down and walk away from it. It's the strangest thing because since I've written the book, I don't feel, it's almost like I can't remember what I wrote. And I've had a few people that are close to me that know me well read the book, and what's funny about it is I really wrote it so that I could connect with other people, and it has done that for me and for them. And every person that has read the book so far, they have a different area in it that means something to them. And when they come to me and they say, hey, this is the part that really means something to me, or this is the part that I had to stop at because I couldn't really, it was so deep for me that I just needed to take a breather. Like I said, it was always a different spot. Like, for instance, one of the people that read the book, she came and said, there's the part where you said, it's like handing God the pieces and saying, do something with this wreckage. And to be honest, I forgot I wrote that line. And so for something so small to mean so much to someone else, I'm excited to see what the really deep parts can mean to someone else that have suffered in the way that I have, because I know in healthcare, addiction is taboo. And I mean, it's basically like, in that realm, the scarlet letter, like you're just marked. And I just, because of my recovery and how stable I've become in that, and my ability to want to come back and help people in the same scenario, I just want other people to experience it. Because, to be honest, I've done some research on this. Like, I've looked to see if there are other people like me out there, and I haven't really found anybody exactly like me. Like, there's a couple of people that are similar to me that, like, they are now public speakers and they go out and they raise awareness and things like that. But as it goes to recovering your career and becoming a nurse practitioner and like building a practice where you can help other people who are addicted as well, I haven't really found anybody like that yet. So it's a miracle, and I want to share it with other people. And I know not everybody's going to accept it. And I know there's going to be people who doubt and who have something to say. And I'm trying to prepare myself for that. So I've been doing some research also on vulnerability. So last night I remember that Brene Brown, she talks a lot about a vulnerability. And so I was looking that up last night, and it says that vulnerability is a sign of courage. And I can tell you, I don't feel courageous right now. I feel very scared because I laid my entire life out there, this thing I've been carrying around with me, and it's been very healing for me. So, you know, to get to the point where I'm going to receive feedback on it, I am not so, I know that not everybody's going to have something positive to say about it. But I'm trying to stay positive and to know that the people that really need to read it and the people that it's going to make a change in, I have to trust God that that book is going to find those people.
Yeah, and the one thing I want you to remember is it's your truth. And you're doing this, number one,
Yes.
because you found God. You were on a podcast with my dear friend Prudence talking about the book, and I encourage everybody to go look up 𝗶𝗶𝗍𝗃 podcast just to get a little more of the story, because I'm trying to steer it away from the podcast so we get a little more of the story. But you did talk about in there how everybody has their own higher power. But I'm going to talk about yours, and yours is God, because so is mine. But God gave you the courage to put your story out there. And so as you have those people come in, and because of what your story is and because of what your story is going to do for other people, you're going to have those people come in and try to, stop your story, try to stop you from telling it and all that thing. And you have to shut out the noise, stand in your truth, and stay in that courage spot. And stick to the people that know you. Stick to the people that understand your story, understand why you're doing it, and not because you're not doing it to get famous. You're not doing it to whatever, but that you're doing it because you want to help people, and you stand in that truth. And everybody else, it's just the noise.
Well, no, there was a couple of things that I started thinking about when you were just talking just then. So last night, like I said, I was starting to feel very vulnerable. Like my nerves were frayed, like I was exposed. And I was starting to doubt myself, like, oh my goodness, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I shouldn't have been so vulnerable. You know what I mean? And every once in a while, you just feel like you need some like confirmation, or you need God to tell you, hey, you are moving in the right direction, because my story is very candid. And basically my goal was to have whoever read the book walk through my life with me. I didn't write anything the way that I did to glorify anything or to shock anyone or any of that. It was simply for you to just come alongside me and walk this journey with me to see what it was I went through and how I got to the point I am now. So let me backtrack a little bit. So last night when I was really feeling exposed and I was like praying, I was like, God, I mean, you know what I mean? I really felt like you wanted me to do this. So I need you to help me through this time right now. And I'm telling you, two people that I had sent the book to read messaged me back to back and complimented in a different ways, and again gave me. And then on top of that, I had a girl that had read it, because I have a few people that I'm trying to have help me share it. She finally shared it and wrote this wonderful, beautiful post. And then this morning, I had another friend message me and say, "I will support anything that you want me to like share or say." She was like, "It's amazing." So the time where I was basically feeling like, I can't take this anymore, God, like I really can't. I need you to tell me that what I did was right. Four different occurrences in the last 12 hours, and that's been more than, I've been trying to get people for quite some time now to read and help me along in this journey here. Um, so I just wanted to share that God really did give me confirmation that, what I did was what he asked me to do. And it reminds me too of Esther 4:14, where it says, you know what I mean, maybe you've risen to a position for such a time as this, that otherwise your people might perish. And my people are nurses. And we are trapped. Like, we do want to, be a Florence Nightingale. But the fact of the matter is that we're human. And it is scary to talk about the fact that we can be human, but we are human. Just because we don't talk about it and we might like put it behind a veil as if it's not really the truth, it is still the truth. And the moment that we can have people accept that and help us as humans, as their fellow human, the safer healthcare is going to be, because, it is a business, but it's a very sensitive business where it's people's lives that we're taking care of. And so we need to be able to take a look back and see, well, these nurses are people that they need their lives taken care of as well. So that, it mirrors, like, it's, again, you have to be able to love yourself to be able to love somebody else properly. And if you can't love yourself, then you're going to reach out for ways to make yourself feel fulfilled, peaceful, to reduce your pain. I mean, there's so many things that we experience that can be traumatic, painful, anxiety provoking. And when we don't have the time to deal with it, or the resources to deal with it, it's going to manifest in another way. And I'm just an example of that. And I guess I was just brave enough to talk about it, no matter what the consequences may be. I feel like, regardless of what those consequences are, that because, like, God will honor the courage that I have stood by to share this story with.
Yes, he will. He absolutely will. Excuse me. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, God shows up on time, whether it's our
Yes.
time or not. But yeah, he always
Yes.
has those things that we need when we need them. Those people that you needed to hear from came when you needed to hear from them, right? So I want to talk just a little bit about the story inside. So, it chronologizes, your addiction, how you got into the addiction from just the few pills developing into, you didn't go straight from nothing to heroin. That was
Right.
not the path. It doesn't happen that way. When you see those people that are strung out, they didn't get there right there. They didn't go straight to that. Nobody goes straight to that. But you talk about how that process happened. How did you get there? But it's not just the story is not just about you. Excuse me. It's about family. It's about how it affected your family, how it affected your relationships, how it affected your children, and the loss of it, and how you brought back, how God brought back the love of your life, and how all of that, it's all in there. I mean, it is your life story, obviously, but I just want you to talk just a little bit about a character named Levi.
Yes. So Levi, of course, is the love of my life. That is not his real name, but he is definitely a real person. And I met him in the thick of my addiction, probably about the time I would liken it to, I love my analogies, let me just tell you this. So it's like the kickoff of the game, right? At the kickoff of the addiction where it was about to like go down, right? So Levi walks into this you know, dumpy trailer that we were all kind of hanging out in. I mean, it was basically a drug house, and he comes in, but there's something different about him. Like I was over here probably spun out higher than high, and he comes in and he's just kind of hanging in the corner, and it was almost like he didn't want to engage with what was going on, and that is what showed me that he was different somehow. And I was attracted to that because he felt safe even in the midst of chaos. And I felt like I knew him. And I know this whole like love at first sight thing, it just seems like some kind of fallacy, like it can't happen. But it's like I could feel that he was made for me, strangely, in the middle of all of, and I knew during the entirety of our addiction that something about us was healthy. Something about us was meant to be. Like, there's this one particular time where I was headed from Bloomington up to Indianapolis. And this is the time where that Ed Sheeran song came out. It's like, when your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet. Well, I was headed up there, and it wasn't for anything good. We were probably going to get high and do whatever we did at the time. But like when I heard that song, my heart was telling me something wholesome about us. And I was just like, how in the world would that ever be the case? I don't know why I keep feeling this way about him.
Right.
And so eventually whatever we do everything we do, and the whole, like, you'll read about it in the book, but the whole gas station scene, and I couldn't believe it, and I just that's really like the cliffhanger, is like, oh my gosh, this really happened, and I felt like I can't believe this. And then later we see each other, and that was a miracle. And I remember honestly in that scene, in that scenario, thinking, it's like, I love you. And I was like, away from me, Satan, is what I thought in my head. I thought, no, quit chasing me around. I'm trying to make the right choice here, But in my heart, even though I said, away from me, Satan, God said, that isn't Satan. And I was like, how? I can't make sense of this at all, right? So I go back and I do everything I do, I straighten up my life, and, things happen, and I end up divorcing my husband. We tried to make everything work after all of that, and it just didn't work. And I'm a girl with daddy issues, so I ended up in this other relationship, and it was just terrible. And then suddenly, Levi comes back and is healthier than me, and he's like my hero. He's my hero.
Right.
I'm serious. I couldn't, the first time I saw him after all of this, like we met, at Walmart, and I saw him, and it was like I could see Jesus standing there. I'm telling you, it was like the spirit, I could just see that he was different, And I mean, that's all she wrote. Like, I just knew it's strange when you know somebody is meant for you, like God has sent somebody into your life. There's nothing you can do to make it not happen. It just happens. And I'm so grateful because I'm so in love with him.
I think that's beautiful. And, God brings people into your life, and I believe very immensely. I mean, you said the love at first sight thing. If you hear my husband tell a story of how we first met when I was 16. Okay. And he tells the story, and I absolutely hate to hear him tell the story, but, he believes in that. Absolutely. I was not in a good headspace back then. So to me, I don't see that part of it, but he sees it. So yes, I absolutely understand what you're talking about. But, so so that's the thing. This book it has the addiction story. It actually has a love story in it, if you can believe it. It has such a strong story of hope in it. You talk about just how down in the gutter you were. I mean, you really were, and how you were just really trying. You even though you were in that midst of the yuck, you knew that there was something.
Yes, I mean, it's like, the thing is when I was going through that scenario, it's like I could hear God telling me, it was like it's like he put me into a battlefield to experience something I never would have experienced before. And I remember feeling like I knew when the time wasn't up yet. I knew when things were going to continue. And then I knew when it was over. I knew when it was time to go and turn myself in and change my life and do these things. And now I can understand, because what I am meant to do, which is help the addicted, I never would have understood what that was like for them. So I had to experience it for myself so that I could come back and have compassion and empathy for those people. True empathy. Like, I really know. And it's strange because when people don't know that about me, they look at me and they're like, I can't believe you've ever done a bad thing in your life. Because I mean, I'm walking around no makeup. I wear my hair in a bun all the time. I look like, you know what I mean? I don't look like I used to do those things. I don't look like I've been in jail. I don't look like I've ever, you know what I mean? So, like, it's really, I know it's all been for a purpose. And so, but something else I was going to mention, because you're talking about the relationships and how what I went through damaged those relationships. So, that was another thing that God was kind of like comforting me about last night was, not only have a couple of my friends really like been touched by the story, but my daughter, my eldest daughter, when I took off and did what I did, she kind of had to step into a mother role, and she'd never asked for that. And I was already a young mother, so it was already kind of a strained relationship. And even though I tried to explain to my daughter several times, like, look, this is what happened. This is why I was so devastated. I told her and told her and told her, trying to get her to understand so maybe she would see it from my perspective a little bit, not so that she could say it was okay, but just so she could maybe heal a little bit.
Right.
But it didn't matter how many times I said it verbally. But the minute she read it, this is what she said. She said, it was like I could finally open a window that had been shut for years and see what was going on the other side. She's like, I'm already way less angry and sad. And she's like, and it made me break down weeping. And so it's healed that relationship with my daughter that's been broken for years. So if that's the only thing that this book accomplishes, then it was worth writing. And the fact that I've been able to heal and lay these things down and be artistic in doing it, because I felt very artistic while I was writing this stuff. Like, there's some, interludes and little things that I stop and write in between. And I really enjoyed that. Like, the love story between Levi and I is extremely beautiful and romantic and has remained that way. And so to be able to share that with other people has just been an honor and a blessing. And he deserves for people to know a little bit more about him too. And so it's been fun to share like how sweet he really is. And because I think sometimes you can look at people from the outside and you don't see what's really in their heart. You know what I mean? You have to experience that with them in a relationship. So for me to be able to write the book and for people to read that, I want people to be able to experience the beauty of our love. Yeah. In a different way and on a different level. But yeah, to be able to share that, he deserves that because he's been my hero. He says he's going to write his side of his story, and of course it would be fitting with my story being called Heroine. Of course, there's the double entendre of what I went through and that I had to become basically my own hero to get out of the situation, only through the power of God, though. Like, I call myself a heroine, but really it's the power of God that brought me to the point I am today. But yeah, for him to be able to write his side of the story and to call it Hero, we have the plan actually of writing several books that mirror each other, like in that way. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm very excited for that. Yes, I'm excited for his book as well, and the thought of just you guys continuing that journey and getting more to your stories out there. And I love that you wanted to highlight him a little bit. And yeah, we don't. It's really hard to see that side of a man in a story, and that side, because they don't show that to the world around them.
Right.
A lot of men don't share that with the world. So to be that person that experiences it and be able to share that side of him with the world is really special.
Yes.
What I know that is the one thing I do tell people that I talk to that have stories to share and stuff. I'm like, you need to write a book. And it's not just because you need to get that story out to other people, but like you said, it's very healing just to get it out. And I tell people that all the time, and they're like, yeah, but who would want to hear it? You know what? Who cares? Sometimes it's just the fact of getting it out of you, even if you don't even publish it, get it out. And then have somebody read it and get their opinion of it, because yeah, it might be something, or it might just be you needed to get it out. So I encourage anybody to do that. But so you wrote this book, it did what you needed it to do for you, which I love that. I love that process for every author that I work with, is what it does for them. That always, it's just that extra of the healing process that they have. And I love hearing that from every author I work with. But why now? But more so, what do you want this to do for the reader that picks up this book?
So why now? Okay, so of course Levi, he wrote something recently, and I finally felt like God was like, hey, if you don't take this opportunity, it's now or never. Stop putting it off. Because I have been told to write this story, I don't know how many times. I've had so many people say that, and I'm like, I just, not right now. I'm scared of what people think. And finally, so it's like seeing that courage on him gave me the courage. That's a perfect example of why we are together, is because he encourages me to be the best version of myself every single day. Like, I mean, and so I love that about him. I want to be able to be the best. It's like I feel like people need that. They need that other side of them, basically. Like we joke, but it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of true that we're twin flames. Twin flames don't always like get along. Honestly, they're typically similar, and they like butt heads a lot, and we do that. But he challenges me. And so that's why I've chosen to do that now. I feel like, okay, and you said there was a second part of that question, and I forgot what it was. You said, why now? And then what was the other question?
What do you want them to come away with when they read this book?
I want them to come away with the idea that it is okay to be authentic, and it is okay to speak your side of the story, and to be courageous enough to do that no matter what anybody else has to say about it, because it can, even if it touches one other person's life, and it gives that person the courage to be who God has called them to be. You never know what group of people that person is going to affect, because even if you only make a difference in one person's life, that one person can affect, how, you know what I mean, thousands, millions of people. You never know. Like, there's been some things that one person has said to me. For instance, my mentor that I discussed in the podcast that recently passed away, she walked me through my recovery, and she was an amazing woman. And so she was like, she said one thing to me while I was in recovery, because I wasn't going to go back to nursing. And this is this whole taboo, like I might as well just give it up. Like, the stuff that I talk about is because I went through it. But anyway, there was just one day where we were sitting in her office, and I was like, I'm just going to stay at the factory. I'm just going to, I'll just apply for a management position there. And she didn't even look at me when she said it. She looked down, she said, I'd go back for my nursing. Just kind of in passing, she said that. And in that moment, I knew I was lit up on fire. I was getting it back, and I was going to make her proud too. So I'm so glad I got to become a nurse practitioner before she passed away, so she could know that. But what I mean is, like, if she wouldn't have said that small little sentence, I never would have written this book. And maybe it won't affect anybody except for my oldest daughter, but that repaired a relationship that was, incredibly important to me. Like, I need that relationship with my daughter. I used to cry. I used to have a picture that I had in my windowsill when she wouldn't talk to me, and I would just look, and I would just pray, and I would just ask God to repair that relationship. And you know what I mean? And it just seemed like it took forever. But you know what? Like, for instance, last night I messaged her, and I was like, hey, do you want to do something Friday? And she's like, oh my gosh, yes. And I was like, okay, do you want me to pick you up a little earlier then? And she's like, yes. And I was like, well, what about breakfast? You want to go to breakfast and then go shopping and then go to lunch? She's like, oh my gosh, yes. You have no idea. She would have never said that even probably, 6 or 8 months ago. And now she wants to hang out with me. And that's amazing. Like, that's a restoration that, like I said, writing this book, it makes the entirety of it worth it to me. So yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that completely. I have a daughter myself, and we went through a very brief, but seemed like an eternity of a time. Well, it was almost a year of disconnection, and it was awful. Uh, and we're actually
Yes.
closer. We're closer now, and my weekends that she comes over and hangs out are the best ever, and I would not give them up for anything. So I understand that. I understand, and our girls are our girls, and yeah,
Yes.
I get it. But no, I love it, and I guarantee you, this book is going to affect many people. And like you said, honestly, that's the best thing about a book. It'll be here way past when we are, and it will be shared by people that we'll never know. You're going to touch people you're never going to know that you touched them. You're never going to know until glory. That you're going to have people coming up to you in glory going, I read your book. you know
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Thank you for writing that because it healed me in such and such way, Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause, here's one of my goals too is like I when I was in jail, I remember just like wishing I had a good like a book, somebody like me that had been through what I'd been through that I could read to give me some encouragement. I mean, thankfully, the song "Fight Song" by 𝗃𝗃𝗯𝗃𝗃 came out when I was in jail, and I mean, when that came on, I knew that was another like fire that came up underneath me. That I was like, I'm getting my life back. But it would have been like I want someone laying in their bunk to read that and be like, oh my gosh, if she can do that, I can certainly come out of here and get my life back. I just want someone to gain the courage to fight the good fight of faith because so many people just give up. And you know why? Because they say they can't. But the Bible says that death and life are in the power of the tongue. And so I've learned to say I can. And even if I don't know if I can, I try. Because here's the thing. I mean, I know a lot of people are afraid of like losing their dignity for trying some things, but I mean, didn't we lose our dignity in addiction too? I mean, I lost a lot of dignity in my addiction, so I would rather lose a little bit of dignity or be embarrassed because I tried to do something amazing and just got told no. But here's the thing: I've never been told no yet. You know what I mean? I'm not there. Nobody's. There's some things I thought, oh man, they're not gonna. You know what I mean? They're gonna be. They're not gonna say yes to this, but they did. People recognize when you make that change; they can see it.
Yeah.
And being authentic and transparent helps a lot. You know what I mean? Because basically, I feel like some of the things that I've been through in my past kind of protect me now because it makes me walk the line. I walk that line, and I know that people keep an eye on me, and I'm glad for that because then, really, it's an extra level of accountability. It helps me. There's nothing I'm trying to hide anymore. And trust me, I wake up every day thinking, how is this my life now? How do I really just want to do the right thing, go to work, come home, take care of my kids? It's like, how do I do that? But I do. And it's the power of God.
I am, like I said at the beginning of this, I am so excited for this book. I'm so excited for everybody that gets to read it, and not just because of the addiction story part of it or anything like that. It's just a good story. If you like a good book in general, this is a good book. It's a great story of a heroine, not just heroin. Okay. A twofold story, twofold connection. But yeah, it's a great story of everything that Prudence went through. And I guarantee you there's so much more to this story. And I think that's going to come out eventually in other books. But yeah, I'm excited for people to hear your story and everything you went through, what you recovered from, you and Levi's story, and just to understand that there is hope. There is a way out. No matter what you're going through, you don't have to be addicted to something to understand when you read this story that there's a way out of just the mess that you might be in. And I think it's going to bring hope just in the general situations of life. So, what would you like to say to our viewers as we wrap this session up?
I would just like to say that I hope you enjoy the book. I mean, I make a lot of connections in the beginning and in the end, and I hope you're able to catch those just for the fun of it. I hope that you can take the time that you need in between sections if it's a little heavy for you. I do also want to mention, that some of the areas may be a little sensitive, especially if you're still in the middle of active addiction. So just be cautious when you read it. I felt the need to say that because I'm 10 years removed, or 11 now, I guess, from that. So it was still hard for me to write it, but I understand I can be in a different position than someone else possibly. So, but still, yet I hope that people are able to enjoy the love story, to understand all of it's completely true. And it just is a fun little fact. As you know, Nicole, that little connection with the lanterns, God connected that right at the end. And that was so important to the story. I was even praying about that to God. I'm like, that was such an integral, like, I saw those lanterns so many times and wished that they could be a part of my life in one way or another. So for that concert to pop up right as I was finishing the book, because when I clicked on that concert link, I didn't even know where it was. I had no idea it was going to be at the Alexander where the lanterns were. So for that to happen right as I was finishing the book, I know you remember how excited I was when I messaged you. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to add this little part." But didn't it just tied everything together, you know? And so I know that God loves our love story because He's the one that created it and brought us back together for it to bring things to fruition and for us to be able to help other people. Um, when it comes down to it, I hope it gives other people the courage to tell their story and to be authentic and to just be able to understand that they can change too and they can stay changed and it's possible, and ignore what other people say because there's always going to be a troll out there. You have to be able to learn who you are in Christ, or whoever your higher power is, who you are, and learn to let them love you, love yourself, and just live out that powerful legacy in life that you're meant to lead.
That's beautiful. Yes. And y'all have to get the book to understand what the lanterns are about. And yes, I do remember you're like, can I add this? And I'm like, you add whatever you want. It's your book. And it's a beautiful story that just brings something full circle. And it was definitely needed, and God did it for a reason. He knew that the book needed an end cap. So,
Yes.
well, Prudence, I thank you for not just for sharing your story, but like I told you before, for just allowing DMP to be the vessel that it goes through and out to the world. And I want to thank Prudence for being such an integral part at 4P's group. And I know he's going to help spread your message and get your book out there. And I just encourage you all one more time to go get this book. Like I said, the links are in, and share this video with anybody that you think might need to hear Prudence's story, and share the book with, once you read it, give it to somebody else or tell them go get their own copy. But we want to
Yes.
make sure this story gets around the world because we know that this is going to help a lot of people, and share the message of hope. All
Yes.
right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.